He just stood there, right at the door, silent, watching me with his eyes wide, his hands still gripping the door handle. And there I was, legs shaking, breath heavy, completely frozen with my toy still buzzing beneath the covers. I didn't scream. I didn't even move. Because the most terrifying part wasn't that my dad walked in on me. It was that he didn't say a single word. He just slowly turned away and shut the door. That was the moment everything changed. And no, this isn't one of those fake stories people make up for views. I wish it was, but this happened, and it still haunts me. Because what happened the next morning, the conversation we had, the truth he told me about my mom, and the nights that followed, I wasn't prepared for any of it. If you've ever found yourself emotionally lost, desperate for affection, or trapped in something you thought you could control, drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from, because what I'm about to confess might make you see loneliness and love differently. My name is Rosine. I'm 23, Indian American, born and raised in Florida. People say I'm beautiful, long black hair, quiet smile, and the kind of face that hides too much. But what they don't know is how many nights I've cried myself to sleep. I've been in love 3 times. Real love, the kind that makes your stomach turn and your chest feel full. And every single time, I was left broken. The first guy cheated with my roommate. The second just ghosted me after making all those promises. And the third, he used me, took what he wanted, then moved on like I never mattered. After the third heartbreak, I told myself, no more. No more dating, no more trusting, no more getting my heart ripped open. I started building walls. But no matter how many walls you build, the loneliness always finds a way in. Some nights, I'd lie there staring at the ceiling, feeling like there was a hole inside me I didn't know how to fill. I wasn't looking for a man anymore. But sometimes I needed that feeling, that comfort, that warmth, you know. So I got myself something. A toy just for me. Something I didn't have to trust. Something that wouldn't leave me afterward. It wasn't about being dirty or anything. It was just survival. Until that one night. The night everything changed. The night my dad walked in. You know how people say time heals everything? I think they're lying. Or maybe they just never loved the way I did. My first real boyfriend was in college. His name was Jason. We met in chem class. He had this goofy smile and a way of making everything feel exciting. For a while, I thought I was living in a dream. But the dream turned into a nightmare when I found out he was sleeping with my roommate. Yeah, the same girl who used to help me pick outfits before our dates. I felt stupid, like I was the joke everyone else was laughing at. But I still forgave him. Dumb, I know. The second guy, Marcus, was different. He was mature, had a job, acted like he cared about my dreams. For a few months, I felt seen. Then one night, after spending the weekend at his place, I woke up to find him gone. Phone off. Social media wiped. That one broke something inside me. The third, Nathan. Smooth talker. Sweet on the surface. But deep down cold. He told me he wanted to marry me. Talked about babies, vacations, a future. And the moment I let myself fall, he took what he wanted, then disappeared. That was the last straw. I sat on my bathroom floor that night, shaking, not crying anymore, just empty. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt. I was numb. That's when I made a decision. No more men. I didn't want to be someone's maybe ever again. But the human body doesn't forget. You can lie to your mind all you want, but your body, it remembers touch. So, I started doing something I never thought I would. I went online and bought a toy. It wasn't about lust. It was about control, about having something that was mine, just for those nights I needed to feel okay. I'd light a candle, lock my door, and let myself pretend for a few minutes that I wasn't completely alone. And that's exactly what I was doing the night my dad walked in. It was just another night. My mom had gone to bed early. I heard her bedroom door close. I waited a bit, made sure the house was quiet. I always locked my door. But that night, I guess I forgot. I turned off the lights, lit a candle like I usually did, grabbed my toy, and slid under the covers. I closed my eyes. I was starting to feel something, not just pleasure, but release, escape. And then I heard the door open. I opened my eyes, and there he was, my dad, standing there, frozen. His mouth parted a little, like he wanted to speak, but couldn't. His eyes weren't angry, just shocked, confused, maybe even sad. I panicked, pulled the blanket over myself so fast I almost knocked the candle off the table. But he didn't yell, didn't ask anything. He just stood there for a second, then backed out slowly and closed the door. And I lay there, heart racing, sweating, not from pleasure anymore, but from panic. My fingers were still trembling, not from what I was doing, but from what I knew was coming next, the shame, the questions. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, he sat across from me at the table. For a moment, we didn't say anything. Then he cleared his throat and said, "Rosie, we need to talk." I felt like my stomach dropped. I stared down at my mug, waiting for him to call me disgusting or say he was disappointed. But that's not what he did. He asked me gently, "Why were you doing that?" I didn't know how to answer at first, but then I just said it because I was tired of being used, tired of being hurt. I told him about the guys, about how each one left a scar, how I didn't trust love anymore, and how the toy made me feel like I had some kind of control over my own body again. He looked at me, really looked, and he said, "I get it." I remember blinking, confused. "What do you mean?" I asked. Then he told me something I never expected. He said Mom had cheated on him, that he found out months ago. And since then, they hadn't been the same. They shared a house, a bedroom, but not each other. He said, "It's been 5 months since I've even touched her." And just like that, I saw my dad differently, not as a parent, but as a man, a hurt one. After that conversation, things weren't the same between us. I wouldn't say it was awkward. It was more like we suddenly understood each other in a way we hadn't before. Pain does that. Sometimes it connects people quietly. A few nights later, I was in my room, scrolling on my phone, unable to sleep again. Around midnight, I heard a soft knock at my door. It was him. He poked his head in, asked if I was okay. I nodded. He smiled and said, "Can I come in for a bit?" I hesitated, but then I said, "Yeah, sure." He sat on the edge of my bed, just looking tired, older than I remembered. We didn't talk about that night, not directly. Instead, we talked about life, about Mom, about how hard it is to stay in a marriage when love starts to fade. He told me how lonely he felt, how he missed being touched, being seen. I listened quietly because deep down, I knew what he meant. That night, he stayed in my room for almost an hour. Didn't try anything. Didn't cross any line. Just talked. And that became our new routine. Every night after Mom went to bed, he'd come into my room. Some nights we'd talk. Some nights we'd just sit in silence. And every time he left, I felt more confused. This was my dad. But it didn't feel like it anymore. It felt like two people trying to hold on to something they'd lost in other people. I remember the night it happened. It was raining hard, the kind of night where the house feels like it's holding its breath. He came in like usual, but he looked different, tired, emotional. He sat down, rubbed his hands over his face, and just whispered, "I don't know how much longer I can do this, Rosie." I asked, "Do what?" He looked up at me and said, "Pretend I'm okay." There was something in his voice that cracked something in me. I moved closer. I don't know why. Maybe I just wanted to comfort him. Maybe I wanted someone to comfort me too. He put his hand on my thigh, just for a second. We both froze. He looked at me, like he was searching for a reason to stop, and I didn't give him one. The moment that happened, everything else just followed. I wish I could say it was just that one time, but it wasn't. After that night, it kept happening, always quiet, always after Mom was asleep. And I hated myself after every time. But I also didn't stop it, because some twisted part of me felt wanted again. And that feeling, that's a hard thing to give up. After the first time, It was like we crossed into a place we didn't know how to come back from. My dad never said it out loud, and neither did I, but we both knew what we were doing. Every night after Mom went to sleep, it became a routine. He'd slip into my room like he was sleepwalking. Sometimes he'd hold me. Sometimes I don't even want to say it. And every morning we'd act like everything was normal. Breakfast, chores, Sunday church. But deep down, I was falling apart. I started avoiding my friends, skipping calls. I couldn't look people in the eye anymore, especially my mom. She'd sit at the dinner table, asking me how school was, smiling like nothing was wrong. And all I could think was, if she knew what her husband was doing, what her daughter had let happen. I stopped eating right. I couldn't focus. I'd zone out in the middle of conversations. At night, I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder, what am I even doing? This wasn't love. It wasn't comfort anymore either. It felt like I was trapped in a room with no windows, just slowly losing pieces of myself. And the worst part? There were moments, tiny, horrible moments, where I wanted it. Not because of who he was, but because of how empty I felt without it. He made me feel wanted. And that messed with my head more than anything. I started writing things down in a journal, things I couldn't say to anyone. I hate myself. I want to tell someone. I don't know who I am anymore. And one night, after he left my room, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the girl staring back. She looked tired, hollow, like she was waiting for someone to save her. But no one was coming. I was the one who let this go on. And I was the only one who could stop it. That night, I made up my mind. I wasn't going to keep this going. I couldn't. I needed to say something. Maybe not to my mom, not yet, but to someone. Anyone. Because the secret. I don't know what you think of me right now. Maybe you're judging me. Maybe you're not even sure what to feel. Trust me, I don't expect you to understand. I just needed to finally say it out loud. Because keeping it in, hiding this, it was destroying me. This isn't a story about lust or rebellion. It's about loneliness. Two broken people in the same house, quietly drowning and reaching out in the only way they knew how. I know it's wrong. I've known that from the beginning. But it wasn't planned. It wasn't some fantasy. It was sadness. It was two people who stopped being seen by the ones who were supposed to love them. And when that kind of emptiness drags on long enough, your sense of right and wrong can get blurry. It doesn't excuse it, but it's the truth. I haven't told my mom. I don't know if I ever will. Part of me wants to disappear, move out, cut all contact. But the other part of me, it still remembers the nights we sat in silence, the nights I cried into his chest, the nights he whispered that he felt alive again. How do you erase that? How do you move on from something that felt like the only warmth you had left? I'm not telling you this for attention. I'm telling you because someone out there needs to hear it. Maybe you've done something you're ashamed of. Maybe you're stuck in a secret that's too heavy to carry. Or maybe you're just tired of feeling invisible in your own life. Whatever it is, please know this. Secrets will rot your soul if you keep them long enough. I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I know I can't stay quiet anymore. And maybe, just maybe speaking this out loud is the first step toward forgiving myself. If you've ever felt stuck between what's right and what's real, tell me. Drop a comment. Let me know I'm not the only one who's ever fallen apart. And wherever you're watching from, I hope you find peace before your guilt eats you alive.